All right, so I thought I'd film this little intro segment as I'm walking over to the park. But today's video is going to be all about escapism and how it relates to porn and more specifically femdom. And I've been thinking recently, I've been reading In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts by Gabor Mate, and it's just a book that's all about addiction, addicts, talks mostly about the major substance abuse, heroin, crack cocaine, and methamphetamine. But it really is one of those things that you can extrapolate the ideas to femdom and porn. And so I've been thinking a lot about addiction, why we keep on relapsing, and then really this idea of how we're always trying to escape, in the sense that we don't feel comfortable with ourselves, that we have a lot of self-doubt. I feel this way. I think to a certain degree, you're always going to have that, but this really core sense of self-doubt, we want to just obliterate and get rid of. And so when it comes to escapism and porn, it's our safety blanket. It's something that can numb us. It's something that we can fall back into and feel like we can just derp ourselves out. And sorry, I'm shifting the camera around here. While it's okay to feel like that once in a while and use some sort of escape occasionally, I talk about active recovery a lot, and that can be looked at as a form of escape. But the difference between doing what I call active recovery and destructive recovery is that when you're doing destructive recovery, you are really going multiple steps backwards in the wrong direction, whereas active recovery is more just kind of like preparing you for that next leg up, so to speak. So that's really what we're going to dive into today, is about escapism and some of the real core points that I think that I want to talk about are just the idea of becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable. I reiterate that frequently. And what that means is like being able to sit with a little bit of anxiety, being able to sit with some fear, being able to sit with some self-doubt and just sit with it. And I actually had this really interesting experience recently where I just sat down and I just, began to just fixate on these ideas and just think about it. Like, okay, what am I feeling right now? All right, I kind of feel anxious. I kind of feel like I have this weird vibration in my body. Well, I'm just going to sit with that feeling. I'm not going to try to fight it. Whatever you resist persists. And so you have to be able to train yourself to be okay with feeling kind of crappy sometimes, to feeling like you really don't have a lot of motivation sometimes, or feeling like you are anxious, or whatever that negative feeling is. The answer is not to mask it over with porn, or mask it over with femdom, or mask it over with drugs, but to be able to sit with it and realizing that these feelings will pass. And so we have to stop being so impulsive. And I know in the past, whenever I would go on to a major porn binge or femdom binge, make sure there's no cars coming here, looks good. Dirt bike just flew by a minute ago, doing papa wheelies. And let's head this way. So in the past, whenever I would act on these impulses, it was because I was feeling a little bit of fear, a little bit of self-doubt, a little bit of anxiety. And I would just immediately be like, I don't want to feel this way, porn. I don't want to feel this way, femdom. I don't want to feel this way, drugs. And you have to learn to become comfortable with these feelings and not be so impulsive, not be so compulsive. And when you can learn to do this, that's when you actually start to take a lot of control. I'm just gonna put this down for a second here, over your life, and realize that you're not going to have the same level of addiction anymore. Anyway, approaching this kind of busy road, so I'm going to cut it here, and I will see you in the main part of this video. See you there. So I really want to dive into this idea of escapism. And even just as I was walking over here, and as we were talking before, I was thinking about there's really two avenues in which we choose to escape. One is this notion that we feel like we should feel good all of the time. And I've been thinking about this a lot recently with the idea of pleasure seeking. Pleasure seeking means trying to feel good all the time, trying to get these dopamine spikes all the time. And so much of our culture living here in the US or just anywhere in the modern world is built around pleasure seeking. Drink this 7-Eleven Big Gulp. It's loaded with 100 grams of sugar. Feel good. Go home and watch Netflix to feel good. And then after that, play video games to feel good. And then after that, watch porn and jerk off and feel good. And then eat some more candy. And it's just bombarded on us. And it's hard to fight against this because our basic biology is saying, do more of this. This feels good. Eat this sugar. This feels good. Jerk off. This feels good. So you have to realize you have the basic biology, which is going to tell you, do this, it feels good. And realizing that as humans, we have free will. We have willpower. We have the ability to consciously make choices. And so you can't just be at this reptilian brain compulsiveness because it's all day long going to want you to just eat sugar and jerk off because it just feels good, it's safe, so you have to actively realize that this pleasure seeking is something that you have to begin to think about. And even looking at when I walk down the street, there's so many people, and this is not exactly related to porn or femdom, but this is to like obsessive compulsive eating. You see all these people that are just incredibly overweight. And look, no disrespect, like if you're super overweight, I actually have some programs and ideas that I'm thinking about really spending more time working on, where there are massive ways to retrain yourself on how to lose weight, build muscle, but really just it comes down to your eating as a form of escapism, most likely. So and that's super obvious because someone who has a porn addiction, you can't necessarily pinpoint that person walking down the street. They're like, that guy's addicted to porn. You don't know. But when it comes to escapism in food, it's super obvious because it's like that person's super obese. They obviously have a problem with binge eating, which usually comes down to this binge eating on the food because you either think that you want to be pleasurable all the time, you want this feel good all the time, or you feel like you don't feel good, and so you're using food as a way to mask it. So that brings me to the second point, right? So you have the first road, which is escapism because you feel like you should be feeling good all the time. So you're pushing into that when, of course, we shouldn't feel good all the time. The second road or avenue is you're just not comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. And this is another topic that I've been really reflecting on because I realize that as men, as people, as humans, a lot of the time you're just not going to feel good. And I've done a lot of inner work. I've done a lot of meditation, reading, exercise, positive thought, journaling over the last year. Like, you name it in the personal development space. I've taken courses, I've done online coaching calls. Like, if you name it, I've done it. And while, don't get me wrong, those things help a lot. And I say this all the time, hop into Valhalla Syndicate. I just changed the name. Let me know if you like the new name, Valhalla Syndicate. What used to be Elevation Syndicate. It's a private Facebook group, personal development, completely free. Hop in there. I post in there almost daily. And that's a great community. And just on a side note here, the communities are huge. And I'm in a lot of communities and groups, mentoring. I do courses myself, and you have to do it. Like, it's just, you're gonna fall off if you try to take it on by yourself. And you just, it's like, why? And okay, maybe you could do it by yourself, but it might take you 10 years. And it's like, I'm always like, how can I do this, be effective, but also be as efficient as possible? And with the groups, the accountability is huge. So hop into Valhalla Syndicate, completely free. And there's a lot of guys in there that'll help pick you up. And I'm there to help pick you up when you fall off, give you that extra motivation. So hop in there, do it now. But where was I going with that? Yeah, so the second road of escapism is just the fact that we are not comfortable with feeling bad. We're not comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I'll say it again, we are not comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I just think that even with doing years worth of personal development, meditation, whatever it is, bettering yourself, you're still going to feel anxiety. You're still going to feel sad sometimes. You're still going to feel low energy sometimes. You're still going to feel depressed sometimes. That's just human nature. It's like saying that I want it to be sunny 365 days of the year. It's going to be sunny a lot of the time. But a lot of the time there are going to be clouds. A lot of the time it might rain. A lot of the time it might storm. Sometimes it'll be sunny. Sometimes it won't be. And it doesn't mean that the cloudy day is a bad day. It just means that it's a bit different. And you can learn to enjoy these cloudy days. And the cloudy days, metaphorically, like I'm talking about the days where you have maybe a little bit less energy. You don't feel as good. But the key is not to allow yourself to relapse on going into self-destructive tendencies again, going into binging on porn again, going into binging on femdom again. And I realize that all you guys have different spectrums of porn dependency, of porn addiction, of femdom addiction. And it's something that if you want to work with me directly, we can do it, because I realize that everyone's at different stages. Some guys have been heavily addicted for over 10 years. Other guys I talk to, they're like 18 and they're pretty young and they only dabble with it a little bit. So there's a whole spectrum, but no matter where you're at, we can customize a tailored game plan. But the point is that you don't want to drop back into these addictions on the cloudy day, on the day where you don't feel as good. And you have to just begin to acknowledge that it's like, all right, I don't feel as good today. Maybe I feel a little anxious. Maybe I feel a little bit depressed. But hey, you know what? Actually, that's okay. And using from my own experience, I realized that I really was not okay feeling like this. Like, I would not be okay sitting with myself and feeling a little bit depressed or feeling a little bit anxious. And those were often the times when I would relapse. Or another big time is I would notice that I'd push myself in an area a little bit. Like, I would do something a little bit outside my comfort zone, and then I would end up relapsing like the same day or the next day or very, very soon after. And that's an interesting idea when it comes to kind of our emotions, addictions as well, to where with pleasure comes kind of an equal amount of pain. And it's this idea of, it's kind of like this counterbalance. And so it's the same idea when you come to dualism in nature, right? How you have day and night and so on and so forth with these kind of opposing forces. But what I would say with that is that it's still no excuse to fall into these deep-rooted addictions. So it's like anytime you fall back into that addictive behavior, you're trying to stop yourself before you slip back into the groove. Because let me say that more clearly, the groove, Groove, before you slip back into the groove, because you essentially have the downward spiral groove and you have the upward spiral groove. And when you're in the upward spiral groove, it's actually really easy. You stay in that groove. The longer you can stay in that, the more you're going to accomplish and get done and, create the life that you want. Because ultimately, that's what I'm all about, is trying to create the life that you are meant to live. I think so many of us feel like, I'm trying to tuck this mic in here, it doesn't get so windy, but I think so many of us feel like we live underperforming, like we have all this potential that, you're not living up to. And so that's really what I'm all about, is how can you create that life so that when you're on your deathbed at the end of your life, that you're like, hey, that was an amazing life. And even going back to, like, let's try to tie it back into escapism here. So as you know, I have had a little bit of, like, recently a kind of bit of a relapse. It was mainly TikTok, really. If you watch that video, Film It, posted 2 videos ago. And I really had never been on TikTok before. And so I had been feeling kind of, I don't know, I just been feeling a bit off anyway. I relapsed, and so I'd never really been on TikTok before, and so I just got hooked on it. And anyway, the point is that I'm trying to make here is that I was addicted on that for about 2 weeks roughly, and that 2 weeks went by in a blur. Like, it just evaporated, vanished. What did I do for those 2 weeks? I can't remember. It was just, it seemed like those 2 weeks were like 2 hours. And that is really goddamn scary to think about, because when I was heavily addicted to femdom and porn for those 2 years seemed like 2 days. And now imagine your fucking entire life like that, where you're living in this derp state, and you realize how 10 years could blow by like that. Before you know it, your middle age blows by, and then before you know it, you're dead. And if that doesn't scare you and wake you up, I mean, give it a shot, man. Put yourself into a derp state for a week. You're gonna be like, what just happened in that week? And that's what video games are doing, what porn is doing, what femdom is doing. All these things that are turning your brain off, and all the things that you're using to escape. And you think that you're getting a benefit by trying to escape through these things, but you're not. What you're doing is you're living in a derp state. You're not living your life, right? You need to wake up. You need to become okay with feeling bad sometimes and not acting impulsively on that. Not, oh, damn, I feel a little bit bad, or oh, damn, like I got rejected by this girl, gonna go binge on porn to numb my feelings, or oh, I just feel like I should feel good all the time, so I'm just gonna jerk off all the time and come all the time. You just have to start conditioning yourself, like, and realize that you have to fight against your biology. And not even, maybe fight is not the word, but you just have to realize that your biology is trying to push you in that way. Social media and a lot of these things are also designed to push you into, being addicted to them. So you just have to realize all the different angles that are trying to push you into this groove, and realize that this is what's going on. And so once you realize it, you can actively start working on it. But yeah, man, going to this idea of this escapism and going into my recent kind of relapse, it's like those 2 weeks gone. don't even know what I did. Didn't do anything, can't really remember anything, just a blur, done. And it's crazy how when you fall into this escapism and you try to, numb yourself, how you really are like, it's like almost like you're already dead. It's almost like you're not really a person anymore. I call them zombies. Like you see the people, especially where I live, there's a lot of like homeless people, there's some drug addicts, and like it's like they look like zombies, and you don't want that to be you. And even when you're addicted to porn and femdom, you don't maybe look exactly like that on the street, but like when you're in your bedroom, when you're in your bed like that, you look like a zombie, and you are a zombie most of the time. So you guys, again, it's always me trying to instill in you this idea that you have unlimited potential. And so remember, when it comes back to this idea of escapism and porn and femdom, there's the two avenues that you have to look at. Avenues means roads, pathways, whatever. So there's the one where you feel like you should be feeling good all the time, aka I should be jerking off and feeling good all the time, and dopamine. And let's come and cover that really quickly as well, because when it comes to this idea of dopamine release, you hear this all the time now: dopamine hit, dopamine spike, dopamine release. And so the dopamine is just it's a neurotransmitter in your brain. It's the kind of motivation neurotransmitter and one of the feel-good neurotransmitters around pleasure. But what I would say in becoming fixated on being comfortable with being uncomfortable, diving into my feelings, thoughts, emotions, how I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, by slowing down and being able to become more present. Think about this. I've noticed that I actually don't want, let me just pause this while the wind picks on here. So by being more present and aware, and specifically in this case of that dopamine feeling, like you can feel it when you eat a lot of sugar, when you watch a lot of, kick this camera, crazy ass porn, or, take some sort of hardcore drug. You can feel it. You can feel that just surge of dopamine. And once you become really calm and clear and present, and you've gone through a lot of these dopamine detoxes, and again, if you want to work with me directly, I have tons of methods, things that I've done, and ideas, techniques on doing dopamine detoxes, which is really, you got to do. It's something that any successful person, you got to do some dopamine detoxes, a few times per year, because it's the same idea of like just doing the subconscious work. Like the trash can gets kind of overflowed, you got to empty it out. It's the same idea with dopamine. You don't want to fry out your neurotransmitters, and you got to give it a break sometimes. But by becoming more present, focusing, and realizing that it's okay to not feel as good, you don't have to always be chasing this dopamine high. And by doing that, you actually don't want to do these actions that give you this huge dopamine spike. And so I'll use an example recently. As I've been thinking about these things, and I'm taking a lot of these ideas from, like I mentioned earlier, the book In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts. Definitely recommend that book. But essentially a lot of the ideas there are around addiction. And so I'm thinking always about these things, but recently anyway, I've been thinking especially about noticing when I feel like I have this surge, like almost too much production of dopamine, and it actually doesn't feel good. I've come to that conclusion. And so when you can realize that it actually doesn't feel good right now, likely why you still are binging on the porn, binging on the femdom, or binging on any sort of other drug or whatever it is of your choice to release this dopamine, you likely think that it's going to give you some sort of payoff, that it's going to give you a lot of pleasure. Well, I'm actually making the argument that the huge hits of dopamine, when you become a lot more present, they actually are, let me just take this off here, try to put this in here. It's probably pretty windy. They actually don't feel good anymore. Like, you feel almost a bit nauseous or a bit sick. You feel more derped out, and you just feel like it's frying out your brain. And so it's that almost too much stimulation. And occasionally maybe you want a ton of stimulation, like you go into like an IMAX movie or something like that, but it's not something that you really want to do on a daily basis. And so you want to become much more present, and then realize that these things that you feel like you can escape to, you got to start flipping the scale. And when I say flipping the scale, I'll try to explain it a little bit, but in simple terms, it's just those actions that you think are making you feel good, that are easy, that are giving you the payoff, you have to begin realizing that they're actually draining you, making you feel a lot worse. And you got to condition yourself so that it becomes more painful to basically do those things. You want to kind of create it so like you realize that they're actually not helping you, they're not serving you, because you still likely think that there's more of a benefit or more of a payoff when there's really not. And that's what I mean when you gotta change the scale. And by doing all these things, you start to really have more control. And these are really more, I guess, what I would call the external work. I always break it down, and you have the inner work, you have the outer work, or the internal, external, and the subconscious release stuff. It's all internal work, diving in, trying to release. This is more, I don't know, maybe it's kind of in the middle between inner and outer, but it's becoming more aware, it's becoming more present. And the escapism, I mean, we live in an escapism culture. It's also, I would just call it a pleasure-seeking culture. And we have to start to begin to realize that not only should you not feel good all the time, but you actually want to have your lows. I always say that, oftentimes when I'm coming out of a bit of a funk, right after that is sometimes when I'll do my most productive work. And so I want you guys to begin to think about these things, do the dopamine detoxes, realize that you feel like it's helping you, you feel like you should feel good all the time, but you really actually don't want to do that. And life would be kind of crappy. Let me pause this again as it gets windy. So it is actually getting a little bit dark here. We're gonna head to one more film location that's got this cool bright light. It's this cool little spot that I like to sit at by the river. I was gonna film the last part here, but I just read and got enthralled in a little bit of meditation and feeling amazing. Anyway, let's hop to the next spot, and I will see you guys there. So I want to come back to recapping this entire idea of escapism and instilling in you that there is really nothing to escape to. And while it may be impossible to eliminate negative thoughts to a certain degree, you can reduce them, but maybe you can never eliminate them. But what I will say, and this was something that was incredibly intelligent that I heard recently, was keep them in your head. Don't let them translate down into your body. And so with the example of porn, it's a really good example, femdom as well, because while you may sometimes have the urges to watch some or to jerk off, you simply acknowledge that thought and you learn to acknowledge it, let it pass, and not fall victim to the escapism, to the compulsion, and doing the actual physical act. And this can be applied to the same compulsion when it comes to food. You simply think about it, but don't actually go and wolf down the junk food. And the same thing when it comes to any other drug or substance, right? You let that thought come. You don't try to fight the thought, although I will say that, and come down here a little bit more too, by doing a lot of the inner work, you'll have much less of these self-destructive thoughts. You'll have much less self-hate. But a lot of that self-hate comes after, because the addiction kind of spirals that further downwards. Anyway, it's always kind of that like chicken or egg situation, what exactly comes first. But what I'm trying to say is that there's nowhere to escape to, and it's okay to have these type of thoughts. And so by realizing that, they lose that negative charge. You don't feel as compelled towards them, and you can really almost feel for the first time in your life, maybe even, that you can stop, enjoy the present moment, and really look around you at everything. And oftentimes, people think that they're going to be really bored, or that there's just nothing enjoyable. Well, I've conditioned myself to where I can sit, and you hear Eckhart Tolle talk about this in his some of his work, some Power Now and A New Earth, to where I think it was the Power Now. He was talking about how he literally for a year or two just sat on a park bench and was in complete bliss. And of course, while you don't want to do that for your entire life, probably don't, maybe you do, but most of us don't want to do that. But to be able to access small states like that, whether they be throughout your day or throughout your week or throughout your month, is incredibly powerful. And realizing that when you can get out of this escapism, when I say escapism, remember, I'm talking about not being comfortable with yourself, not trusting yourself and trying to get away from yourself, hating yourself and trying to escape and numb yourself. You gotta sit with it. You gotta just become more present, breathe into it, acknowledge it. Say it again, whatever you resist persists. And so we're not trying to fight anything, just merely trying to bring awareness to these sensations. And this is something that I've really gotten a lot better at, but still have a lot more work to do, is having that thought but not acting on it, right? Having that desire to jerk off but not acting on it, having that desire to go get McDonald's but not acting on it. And for me, another big one over the last year or two has been poppers, phasing that addiction out of my life, and how it kind of intertwined with filmed and then porn together as well. And having that thought, oh, I want to go get another bottle of poppers, but no, not acting on it. That thought is not bad. If it stays in your head, it's fine. Eventually you want to reduce it to where you're not even thinking about it, but over time, as you do more release work, you feel other things in your life, that void that you fill, those negative thoughts, you just won't have as many of them. But the key at first is to not act on it compulsively. And when you can sit here with yourself, you can really start to tap into your infinite potential. So that's strange. Infinite potential that you possess. And you can also experience the little incredible intricacies in life. The little tiny things. Like I said before, walking over here, I meditated for a little bit, and then I was looking up at the sky, and the clouds were amazing, and then there were these ducks that were in the river that I was right by, and I was just peacefully looking at them, watching them bob up and down in the water, and I felt like I could have done that for hours and been perfectly content. I kind of heard the water lapping a little bit on the shore, and it was high tide, so the water was up really close. Amazing. It's completely free, no materials, completely just you being present to the moment. And that's really what it's all about. And Why do we want to escape from that? I don't know. I think there's a lot of reasons. I think there's, culture. I think there's social conditioning. I think there's a lot of materialism that's embedded into our culture. I think that there's, school system, whatever. We can go on and on and on. And I think a lot of us we feel like we have that void that we constantly need to fill. But remembering that you are already enough, you already have infinite potential, and you don't need to escape anywhere. You already have all the answers. And so it's really important to sink into this and realize that for 99% of you, when you're engaging in that porn, when you're engaging in that femdom, you're trying to escape something, a bad feeling, a bad emotion. You're trying to numb something. You're trying to escape. You're trying to mask over something, and realizing that it's not the answer and there's nothing to run from. So I think that's going to conclude it for this video. And guys, I appreciate you being here. On a final note, let me just say that if you can hop into Valhalla Syndicate, it really helps to have a sense of community. And believe me, I'm really not saying that, but not just saying that to get you in there, but as humans, we're very social creatures. And so when we can have these groups and these communities, it gives us more power. You don't feel helpless. You don't feel like you're trying to fight this alone. And you can bounce ideas off of me, other people in the group. And so it really just becomes a place to, when you're feeling down, even if you don't have people that you feel like you can reach out in your actual day-to-day life, you can always then turn to the group and we'll be there to support you. So Valhalla Syndicate, the personal development group, that's where it's always going down. And remember, there's nothing to escape to. You are already enough. You already possess all the answers. Learn to become more present, and you will unleash the rewards that you already hold within. Hope you enjoyed this week's video. I love you guys, and I will be back very soon with more content. And before I leave, on a PS, remember to post, like the video, number one. So I'm seeing views on these videos and no likes. And like the video, comment, and bonus points if you comment a question that I can then make a future video about, because that's really what I enjoy doing is, I enjoy doing a lot of things, but I enjoy answering questions that are posed here as well. Anything I can do to share some of my experience and, help you guys get through this, because these can be nasty addictions, but you possess the ability to overcome them and live up to your ultimate potential. So have a good night. We'll talk very, very soon. I'm out.